him a chance to say hello. Eric is in Long Island, a huge Eagle fan, still in the afterglow of a title. Eric, good afternoon.
You know, Dog, I'm starting to come down a little bit. Before I get to the Eagles and Cousins and what Bill Polian had to say, real quick with the hockey, Dog, I'm in a situation right now as a Ranger fan and as a season ticket holder. Think about this. I heard your interview with Melrose last week with Lundqvist. First of all, Lundqvist has a full no-trade clause, $8.5 million for the next 3 years. So he basically calls the shots whether he wants to leave the Rangers or finish his career with one team. I don't think he's going anywhere, and that's what the Rangers about to start a full rebuild. Think about this for a second. They're playing about 15 or 20 more games the rest of the regular season. He has not played a meaningless game in his professional career as a Ranger. They've been in the playoffs 11 out of the last 12 years, 7 consecutive years. They've made deep runs, deep into the playoffs, getting to a cup final, a conference final. It's going to be a very interesting, last 15, 20 games when this team at the trade deadline on Monday sells away all their UFAs. And the big piece is Ryan McDonough. What do they do with the captain of the team, who's basically a Norris Trophy candidate when he's healthy and is playing up to his capabilities?
Is there a team that, forget the quantity of player back, is there a team for Lundqvist that would make sense that he would waive his no trade to play for that is a great goalie away from winning a Stanley Cup?
Good question, Dog. I'd have to say maybe Anaheim. All right, this is a team that gets deep into the Western Conference playoffs. Yes, they've won a cup before, but that was going back to 7-8 years. I don't know if they could fit the 8.5 in. I just don't see Lundqvist waving to go to Anaheim. You look at the top contenders, Dog. These are teams that have pretty young, good goalies. The Matt Murrays of the world, Vasilevsky in Tampa. These are teams that are maxed up against the cap. They're not going to be able to fit his cap hit in. I don't think there's a good landing spot for one.
How about Toronto? Do they have a goalie?
They got Freddie Anderson. Again, another former Duck goalie. But Toronto's another team that's up against the cap. Yeah, they got a lot of young stars. Austin Matthews, Nylander, Mitch Marner. These are guys that are going to have to get paid in the next year or two. So I don't see Lundqvist at 8.5 wanting to go there. You bring up the Maple Leafs, and I don't want to get completely off topic, but, that would be a tremendous landing spot for John Tavares to go back home to the Toronto area. But then you're asking Toronto to shed some salary to fit a guy like that.
How about St. Louis for Lundqvist?
That's a good spot, Dog. I didn't think about St. Louis. They got a young goalie in Jake Allen. Again, I don't see.
I don't see Lundqvist. I don't see Lundqvist, who's a New York guy who likes that New York style. I don't see Lundqvist going to the St. Louis Blues. I happen to agree with you, 100%.
And to accommodate my buddy Sean in Queens, if you're Garth Snow and the Islanders, and I heard his call earlier today, you got to go all in at this trade deadline to get yourself a perennial defenseman, another player to play with Tavares. The Islanders are not like the Rangers. For me as a Ranger fan, Dog, I can live with the fact that they're going to miss the playoffs this year. They're going to start a rebuild, hopefully get younger and get better. But if you're the Islanders, you got to go all in to try to prove to Tavares that you can make a run in the playoffs this year.
Yep.
And we at least win a couple of rounds because, they're in a different situation than the Rangers.
I agree. They got a big store, they got a show, and they need to do something. All right, how about the Cousins thing? Let me hear your thoughts on that. Go ahead.
All right, as far as Cousins goes, Dog, listen, I got no issue whatsoever with the Jets. If the Jets are willing to pony up, $60 million.
Why would anybody do that for a quarterback who is not top 10 in the league and who has never won a playoff game?
I look at it this way.
When they had the 6th pick in the draft and there's a million quarterbacks that they could get.
Cousins is 30 years old. He's proven he's
Hey, he's no. He hasn't proven anything. Eric, he has not proven anything. He's somewhere between 10 and 15 as a quarterback in the NFL. That's where he is.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. Anywhere from that 10 to 15 category. But think about this. They got the 6th pick in the draft. If the quarterback that they want, whether it's Allen, Darnold, Rosen, whoever that guy may be, maybe Baker Mayfield, we don't know what the Jets are thinking. But if that guy happens to go in the top 5, it's not like the Jets have the number 1 or number 2 pick where they control the draft. If the guy they want is not in that spot at 6, and you have a 30-year-old quarterback in Cousins that is a respectable quarterback that plays every game, that could, be your franchise quarterback for the next 7 years.
Yeah, but Eric, you're not winning he has not ever won a playoff game in his life. You have no idea if you can win a Super Bowl with Cousins. And when you spend $35 million on him, or whatever the money is, you're going to make sure you can win a Super Bowl. I mean, that's the idea. Now, Garoppolo, obviously, I tell you, I take Garoppolo over Cousins. I've seen Garoppolo play 5 games. He played with Belichick. He was backing up to Brady, and I love what he did with San Francisco when he was out there for a short period of time. I'm not sure. I mean, Gruden, the head coach, he didn't want to. Jay Gruden, he wasn't in love with Cousins at the end of the season. Now, maybe he just said that because he wanted to prepare people, but he wasn't in love with him, and he's the head coach. I tell you, I'd be careful. I'd be careful giving him that kind of money. He's pretty good. That's all he is. And you got a lot of quarterbacks to choose from. Why go there if you were the Jets? I don't think that's a small play myself. Lloyd is in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Lloyd, good afternoon. How are you today?
Hey, Doggy. I just wanted to back up the caller about an hour ago. I've been driving in traffic all day in Detroit, but Molly's game is unbelievable. Fantastic.
And everybody says it. Somehow I have not seen it yet. I'm well aware of it. I want to see it. I have to get to see that. I'm with you 100%.
So here's the deal. I got a little bone to pick with you. I'm obviously a Big Ten guy, right? So here's my thing. I understand going to the East Coast and getting the exposure of Madison Square Garden, but they're taking a back seat. The Big Ten is to the Big East because they have the contract with the Garden,
right?
And have the tournament there,
right.
Obviously. But here's the problem, right? The Big Ten's only going to get 4 teams into the tournament. Michigan's probably going to end up as a 5th seed. Let's just use them for an example. They play on Thursday. Let's say they get bounced, they lose. They got to wait 2 whole weeks
to play a game again.
To play a game again.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's the point that I don't like.
There's a lot of time off. A lot
of time off.
For a huge conference, Lloyd, that's an excellent point. If you make the NCAA tournament and you're and you get picked off, you're going to wait about you might wait 15 days before you play a first round game. That's well said.
As a Big Ten guy, you look at it too. You love that first weekend or going into the selection show. You get Nance, who starts his thing, gets Kellogg's in there for the semifinals on Saturday. And then, yes, Sunday it's not ideal because you can't really finagle with the seeding if both teams are in the tournament.
Yeah, see, I think the one thing I would say, Lloyd, having the Big Ten play any game the day of the selection show is a complete waste of time. They have done that over the years. I don't think it affects them one way or the other in the NCAA, but it's a Big Ten tournament. Nobody cares about that game. There should not be any conference. I know ESPN pays a fortune to get the games on, but there should not be any conference that's worth its salt that plays its championship game on the Sunday of Selection Sunday. That should not be a day that there should be any conference championship game because the fan bases of the teams involved in that game and the college basketball fan in the country, that's a good sports day that day, and nobody cares about regular season college basketball. I know you might have the occasional team that might be playing for a bid, but everything in college basketball should be done on Saturday, March 10th, not Sunday. Now, that's not going to happen because of contracts, but that's my feel on that. Cheryl in North Carolina. Cheryl, good afternoon. How are you today?
Hey, Chris. How are you?
All right, Cheryl. Nice to talk to you. What's going on?
Oh, not much. I got just 2 things real quick. I wanted to say basically the same thing that you said about Mark Cuban. The article I read said that, he was a hands-on owner and that nobody could BS him, and that when all the hashtag Me Too stuff was coming out, he went directly to his HR man and asked him if he had any trouble and should they be worried.
Right.
And they said no, and of course, now he's disgusted.
Well, here's the thing, Cheryl, that I would say about Cuban. If this is some low-lying employee that was doing this, I can understand it. I could and maybe, give him a little break. This is a big-time guy with the organization.
I know.
This is not so. This
enough,
is
Chris. He left the Mavericks to take a job, I believe, at Nike.
Yeah, and he got Under Armour, and he got fired out of there in 3 months, right?
Yeah, 3 months. And, of course, they legally they can't say anything. But that, pretty much tells you everything you need to know.
100%. I mean, Cuban, to me, here has got to take, the ignorance aspect of it's a little shaky. Instead of doing Shark Tank and running out to the Montage in L.A. or Newport Beach or Laguna Beach or, commenting from afar on Donald Trump, why doesn't Mark Cuban make sure that he's got his own house in order? That would be my little lesson for him. Half past, here's the Sports Bite, Steve Torrey, Mad Dog Unleashed.